I wanted to understand what Riftbound really feels like. Not the theory, not the spreadsheets, actually showing up, opening starters, and playing sealed in person. Over 10 days I hit 3 different stores, pulled 3 different decks, Jinx, Lee Sin, and Viktor, and learned fast that not all starters are built equal. Lee Sin is the strongest out of the box, tight, consistent, full of skill expression. Viktor is the smartest, slow to start, but once you find the stratagem, you're piloting a machine. And Jinx, she's the most fun, high damage, high risk, and she burns out just as fast as she explodes. Each one showed me a different side of the game, and by the end of it, I wasn't just learning Riftbound, I was living it. Here's how the Riftbound release events actually work. You sit down and get a random starter deck, no picking. Inside there's 1 booster pack and the store gives you 2 more. Then you open a promo pack with 2 cards, 1 random legend from a pool of 12, and a foil stamped release champion unit that matches your starter's colors. You build your deck from those 3 boosters plus your starter. But there's a catch. You can only use cards that share the color of your legend, and whatever you add in, you must take out. Your deck still caps at 40 cards total. Matches are best of 1, no sideboard, and you randomly select your battlefields. Can't change your legend, but you can swap your champion unit if the pool supports it. Win and you earn extra main set packs. Lose and you still walk away with experience, but maybe just a few trades. On the first day we spun a wheel, and I got Jinx. Honestly, it was chaos. Every good Jinx card either deals damage or makes you discard. Sometimes both. Without Vi or more discard synergy, she's a fireworks show that ends too soon. But that unpredictability made it to the perfect starting point. I was there with Brian, Chris, and Justin. None of us had really played Riftbound yet. We were figuring out our hands, tempo, and how much aggression sealed could handle. Let's take a look at some of those first matches. This was my most thrilling game with Jinx. The match with Viktor was really close. I opted early to force a lot of discards by moving 2 different traveling merchants back and forth between the battlefields. I tried to use the Conquer trigger of Vaughan's to empty my hand while the Viktor player farmed up tokens. I saw Scrap Heap in the starter kit and knew it would be a valuable asset in a game like this. After playing Grand Stratagem and clearing both battlefields, the Viktor player loaded up as much as he could to hold for game point. He was tapped out and we were on our last turn in time. I needed to figure out a play that would win me the game. First I used Void Strike to get rid of his Eager Apprentice, drawing me another card, and then fight or flighting his Tide Turner back to base. I moved my Traveling Merchant into one of the battlefields, crashing with his leftover tokens and clearing it. I moved a loose Recruit token to Conquer and to claim that 7th point for the draw. And then I moved my Undercover Agent into Battlefield A to clear and conquer for that 8th and final point. 5 days later, new store, new deck. Lee Sin. Green in Riftbound is spell heavy and rhythmic. Every buff is a resource, not actually a flex. You hold until the exact moment you can swing a game decisively. This deck taught me patience, and how Riftbound really rewards it. This starter deck has a ton of power and really cool cards. I start my turn by playing one of them, Wielder of Water, readying him by playing First Mate right after. I moved my buffed Pit Rookie into Battlefield A, and then Wielder of Water into Battlefield B. The Jinx player reacts with his hidden Fight or Flight, returning my Wielder of Water back to base. I really want this point though, so I moved my buffed Clockwork Keeper into Battlefield B to secure it. I spent the rest of this duel going back and forth with the Jinx player, layering our different combat tricks, and it became a really chaotic but fun match. By the end of this event, I started collecting bulk lots, building up the binders, and watching Chinese players stream at 2 AM. My desk was gone, it was just a sea of sleeves and tokens. That's the moment I realized this was no longer a one-off video. This was going to be a routine. Day 10, back at my home store. The same tables where I had played Yu-Gi-Oh! For the last 2 years, now packed with Riftbound players. I opened Viktor, and suddenly everything I learned clicked. The Grand Stratagem is the best card in Viktor's deck, and it turns all of your tokens into monstrous machines. You hide a lot of information by playing hidden cards, and win through math instead of actual brute force. But sometimes if you need the force, you can use it. Let's check out some Viktor gameplay from that day. Viktor's a fun deck to play, but man, you can't get over big bodies that Lee Sin puts out. I tried my best to swing tempo back in favor with a last-ditch effort of playing Grand Stratagem, pushing a token into Battlefield B, and then double stupefying to clear one single unit. I went on to conquer both battlefields with the only tokens I had, and then passed back to the Lee Sin player. He started his turn by attacking my single tokens on each battlefield, who now returned to their original might, and conquered both of those for game. This event felt special. I spent half the day helping new players build decks, trading cards, and teaching mechanics I barely understood 10 days ago. That's when it hit me. Riftbound was no longer a hobby. It was a community I was a part of. And this time I wasn't alone behind the camera. Ryan and Athena came out. They filmed, directed shots, helped capture the energy I never could on my own. Their creative eyes and belief in what I'm building here are why this video even exists, and why there'll be a whole series probably after this. So after 3 events in 10 days, here's how I'd rank the starters for sealed play. Right at the top, Lee Sin. Strongest out of the box, most consistent, best for learning discipline. Second is Viktor, the most strategic and rewarding once you really understand how to use the tokens and play with battlefields. Jinx was the most fun, but the most fragile. There was really no backup plan. If you didn't have a discard outlet, there was nothing to do. I thought I would also add to the discussion cards that I would add or take away from the sealed decks that you might open and see in your packs. This would greatly change your performance with these decks, and it only in a minor way make you differ or make you a little bit more unique than your opponents. For Jinx, I would probably cut Cemetery Attendant, Raging Soul, one or many, and the Magma Worm that it comes with. For Jinx, you don't really get to that high of a game state. You're always casting cards that require you to pay red, and you just don't end up with a lot of mana by the end of the game, even though you've cast a lot of things and discarded a lot of things. If you happen to open Vi, since the deck only comes with one, having multiples would be better for consistency. If you get Hextech Ray, or any other target and destroy on battlefield, that would also be really good, or Noxus Hopeful. Any of the Noxus cards are pretty good, but Noxus Hopeful doesn't come in the deck, and it's a great card in Jinx because you layer your spells and it comes in for a lot cheaper, -2. For Lee Sin, the same situation. I would cut a few cards. It's very hard to cut a few cards from Lee Sin, but I would cut Wild Claw, Storm Claw, and 1 Mountain Drake. Just because in the same situation, you have a lot of big bodies and you have cards that are buffed. You don't really need the huge bodies in Lee Sin, even though Mountain Drake did win me a game purely from sitting on one of the battlefields and never moving. What I would add to Lee Sin is the 3rd charm, Azonias if you pull one, because it's a great card to keep your units alive, and Mobilize, anything to get your runes channeling exhausted and get your ramp up. For Viktor, there are tons of cards to cut. The deck is really good out of the box, but Mushroom Pouch is a terrible card. It's too slow. Orb of Regret is also very mid. I would cut either of Mushroom Pouch or Orb of Regret, and I considered cutting Heimerdinger a lot. One player really showed me the way of Heimerdinger by making Heimerdinger his champion unit and just farming tokens, because Heimerdinger takes the same tap effect as the Legend. So you can just tap both of them to double your token output per turn. I just wasn't a fan of it because there isn't enough time to get there, and versing Lee Sin in a best of 1, your units are still just too small. You can't climb fast enough to get over his buffed big bodies. What I would add to Viktor is I would add a Mega Mech, which is a big body, Lecturing Yordles, however many you see, so you can dig through cards, a Singularity, which is a great removal spell, and Seal of Unity. Man, if you pull a seal in sealed format, it's great as long as it's the correct seal. In this sealed format, there's a lot of yellow cards like Grand Stratagem and Call of the Week and a bunch of other cards that require yellow. Seal replaces that yellow cost, so you can play a lot more free if you see the seal. So if you happen to see a seal, throw it in your deck. It'll definitely be useful. Within 10 days, I'd gone from curious to completely invested. Already planning weekly Nexus nights, helping friends tune lists, and even eyeing the regional in Houston. I thought jumping into a new game might separate me from my old crew. Instead, it brought a few people closer together. Brian, Chris, Justin, Ali, Craig, Joe, thanks for coming to these events and making them what they are. Ryan and Athena, thank you for your time, your ideas, and your vision. You helped turn a casual vlog into a blueprint for what the community could become. Now my desk is a disaster. Binders, sleeves, bulk boxes everywhere, and that's how I know a game has its hooks in me. Riftbound didn't just give me matches, it gave me momentum. I'm Legendori, and this was my first 10 days in Riftbound.